Hello everyone, it's Sam here from Inside the Goal. Just wanted to jump on here, give you a bit of the latest transfer news. I myself am a Chelsea fan, so I'm going to be giving you the latest news on Chelsea. Obviously, with the recent sacking of the legend that we know of as Frank Lampard, Tuchel's come in and changed things up with the style. Players seem to be a bit more motivated playing under him. That's, in my personal, I don't like that I love Frank Lampard, but unfortunately it seems to in the long run be the right decision, but obviously time will tell. But 14 games unbeaten, 10 wins, 4 draws, you can't complain with that thus far. Obviously with transfer news under Lampard, the general consensus was we might have been going for Ben White or James Tarkowski at Brighton and Burnley respectively for centre-back. Midfield, the general feeling was it might be Declan Rice for about 80 million from West Ham. Though the board, from all accounts, did not want this because they didn't want to feel that defeat or slight embarrassment from getting rid of a player at youth level, then bringing him back for 80 million. So 5-10 years later, which it's unfortunately with football. I can see the logic from a business point of view, but from a football perspective, I think it's a wrong decision. I think we need to bring him back. I think he's the pivot in that midfield that we need to have. Other transfer news of possible coming in. Haaland's been mentioned, but though his release clause doesn't come into next summer, I think it's about 60 million euros, something on those lines, 63 million pounds possibly. This summer, the biggest teams that can probably get him would be ourselves, Chelsea, probably I'd say City, Chelsea, and PSG. Obviously, with that, I can see that possibly happening, but if it's going to go, he'd probably be 150 million, and a COVID world, I can see that possibly being an issue. On that point, though, financial fair play has recently been reworked, so it will give, quote-unquote, the bigger teams in respective leagues the financial backing to spend more and not have to go through what PSG did, where they had to bring down the wage budget, had to get rid of quite a lot of players a few years ago, which people might debate and go oil money for Chelsea and for City respectively, and also PSG ironically, but it is the power of a lot more spending to do what I think we need to do. I think we need, personally, from a Chelsea point of view, goalkeeper, I love Mendy, I think he's fine. Donnarumma has been mentioned, but I personally wouldn't get him. I think working with Viola, from his experience with United and other different agents, I wouldn't really respect it to a degree, but then counter-argument that would be Haaland, but we'll get to that. The back three is usually Christensen's, Thiago Silva and Zuma, or Rudiger, respectively. Rudiger is reckoned to leave possibly this summer. He's out of contract, and he hasn't accepted a new one yet, but there is workings on that, so we might have a bit of luck. Midfield, it could be Kovacic, Jorginho, Kante. I personally think it should be Kovacic and Kante. Jorginho has been reckoned possibly could go into Napoli, because Sarri is linked back to there. Take of that as what you will. I think he is that playmaker. I remember his pass against West Ham last season to Abraham. It was a wonderful pass right over them. Took out 3 defenders. It was amazing. But at the same time, he doesn't do it enough. And his agent this week has already spoken when he's been away with Italy already. He's been away less than 3 days. But how Jorginho, the future will hold. I personally think we should get rid of him and bring in Rice. But that's just my opinion. The attack, it's quite varied. It could be Pulisic, Havertz, Ziyech, then Werner. Obviously Havertz, Werner, and Ziyech were the 3 big major signings that come in this summer for over 200 million. We worked it out all in all. I think obviously they've took a lot of time to settle. Probably Havertz and Ziyech might have been possibly so far the ones that have taken the most time to settle. I think Werner's been very, very good this season, but he has got a lot of critics so far. His goal and assist ratio is immense when you look at it. It's like 12, 13 goals and about 11 assists. And the chances he created, I think going into the next season and the back end of this season, we'll see the team of Werner that we, as us as Chelsea fans, were expecting. What else would we think about it in that way? Outgoings, you could possibly go with. Outgoings, I think we'll possibly get rid of Kepa, maybe on loan. He's been linked with, I believe it's Villarreal. Unai Emery, the old Arsenal manager, accordingly likes him and will not recoup the 70-odd million we spent on him, but anything to me would be push him on. Unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out. I was a big supporter of him when he first came in, and it's been sad to me as a supporter of him to see him feel like this. And he's a young keeper, and I just think it wasn't the right time. And I think he's kind of buckled under that. But I think in the long run in his career, he'd be a better keeper for it. That is sad to think about when you think about it in that way. But Back four, possibly. I could see possibly, as I've already said, Rudiger might go, but I'd say Tuchel, because of his German connection, will probably keep him. Thiago Silva is reckoned to sign a new contract this summer for another year, and I think we'll move him on after that. Personally, maybe they're going. He wants to do coaching. He's already doing his badges with that, so that's a good process for that. As I've already said, midfield, I think Jorginho will go. As I've already said my statement on that, I think it's the best decision for both parties because his agent just won't be quiet. Front ones, Pulisic has been rumoured to go, possibly, but I don't think he will. I think he's just frustrated with play time, but with his injuries, it's for a player so young to have so many injuries of that certain aspect is worrying. It's a bit like Robin when he first came to Chelsea, though that did work out for later him in his career. I just hope we don't make the same mistake on that. Up front, this is where it becomes probably more interesting. I think Giroud will probably stay. I think Giroud will stay. I think Tuchel likes him, and as a Chelsea fan, I love him. If he had Abraham or Werner's pace, he would be our number one striker by far. I so like him. It's unbelievable. Abraham, there's one. He's refused a few contract offers thus far, and there's a general consensus he wants to leave, and he's a bit of a smart player for me personally. He will deliver you moments of greatness, like this hat-trick against Luton and Lampard's last game. He was a really, really good performance, but his touch is terrible. He doesn't hold up the ball that well, and I think he thinks he's better than what he is, and he might become a great striker. I don't deny he might become really, really good in the future, but I think he's not the striker we need. And with us linked with Haaland possibly, but from all accounts, Abramovich has said Haaland will be the major signing this summer for Chelsea. And obviously, as I said, we will have to compete with City, mostly being the major adversaries for that. And but if we wait for another summer, we'll get him for about £63 million if we had release clause. But I'd say with Raiola, worked with Delit a few years ago, he was going to Barca, then he was going to Juventus, and they're all different PSG. I don't want to be involved in it. I'd rather us bite the bullet this summer and spend £150 million to get him. That would be my point of view on it, but I think he'll stay at Dortmund one more season, and then next season it'll work out more that way because Raiola will get more of the dividends with that, more of the agents' fees, because it'll work better that way, in my opinion. Other positions I've said we need, I think we need Rice. I think we should bite the bullet on that one as well and get Rice. With the embarrassment of the board, I personally couldn't care. I think we should just bite the bullet. You could possibly say we need a winger. As I've said, Ziyech and Havertz have not sold the best. Havertz now is coming into good form, and so is Ziyech, but I think we need that identified right winger. I think we should sign Sancho. And obviously United had that massive thing last summer where they tried to get him. I'm a Chelsea fan, but I'm a great follower of the United stand. I love what they do. I think Mark Aldridge is possibly one of the funniest YouTubers on at the moment, and I love him. I think his reactions are great. I must admit, I did think of the 90% club last summer. I think it was going to happen, and I waited patiently to go, oh no, they've got him. They might win the league. Unfortunately, and thankfully from Chelsea's point of view, they didn't, but I think we could get in there, but it obviously depends what they do and what other clubs do. Centre back, we have been linked with Varane, but I think a lot of clubs will do that. We've also been linked with Alaba. From all accounts, he's going to go to Real Madrid, and Varane might end up possibly at PSG or Manchester United, but we will see with that. That would be what I've talked about thus far, and there will be more videos going up. Thank you for listening. This has been Sam from Inside the Goal. Peace out, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye.